Nosey Nancies is a true crime podcast that deals with real life situations. If you are sensitive to any of the trigger words, this is not the podcast for you. Listener discretion is advised.
Position I'm in, somewhere between the sand and again and again. Well, I'm just pretending that it's all just a dream, a little condescending to believing in it. I'm getting the notion that I'm going all in.
Hey, all you nosies. I'm Alequah.
And I'm Jasmine, and welcome to Nosey Nancies, episode 1.
Part 1.
It's a two-parter.
It is, because there's a lot of shit we gotta talk about.
A shitload of shit.
Disclaimer, though, I've been sick for the past week, so this is not my real voice.
And an additional note, we are just starting up. This is our first episode, and this is a passion project. So we're doing this with no money, no investing of any kind. So you may have some janky audio here and there. Editing may be weird at times, and you may also hear our animals in the background.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind. Bear in mind. Have patience with us.
Have patience.
Just have a little patience.
Hey, so how was your week?
It was pretty good. I actually, earlier today, I went to a Christian yard sale.
How'd that go?
At a church. It actually, they had some nice stuff there. I was surprised. I didn't come away with any crosses or anything, but I went in and they handed me a bag and they were like, "Oh, fill this up for $3." But as I was in there, like looking around, everybody else who came in, they were like, "Fill this up for $1."
Oh,
so,
you had to pay the Satan tax.
Yeah, they knew I was not of the faith. So
they were like, "This girl has jet black hair and piercings and tattoos. Satan."
Yeah, they were making the sign of the cross as soon as I walked in the door. But I got a whole bunch of shit for $10. So whatever they want to think, hopefully they'll pray for me tonight. I need it.
The hoarder in me is just ecstatic for you.
I want to go back, honestly, as soon as we're done with this.
You're like, let's hurry this up. I gotta go get that ceramic piggy jar. Jar that I saw. Yeah.
Gotta get it. How was your week?
Well, besides being sick, it was pretty good. I decided, for the 3 years that I've lived at this house, I haven't raked any of the leaves. So I was like, guess it's time to go do that. So I went up to, at first what had happened yesterday is I had some baba ganoush, some leftover baba ganoush.
Ooh.
And listen, I know. I love eggplant, but eggplant does not love me. Okay. So I go up to Home Depot and I'm like looking for those bags, that you put the leaves in. And it hits me, the baba ganoush. And I was like, oh, fuck, I got to get out of here. I'm about to shit I'm about to shit my pants, right? So I'm like, get in my car. I'm driving down this residential street. I won't say where because I'm not trying to dox myself. And all of a sudden, this woman in her hybrid car pulls out in front of me going like 15 miles an hour, right? So Live Laugh Lauren over here is driving like she's cruising around like she just discovered who the fuck Fleetwood Mac was. And all the while, I'm just trying to make it to my house before the inside of my drawers look and smell like war-torn Bosnia. You know what I mean? So listen, y'all fucking go the speed limit because you never know who's about to shit their pants behind you,
Yeah. Do for others, okay? Think about others.
Before they do on themselves. God. Crazy. So speaking of Austin, if you have been living under a rock for the past 8 years, there's been 14 unidentified bodies of men found in Lady Bird Lake and 15 identified bodies of men found in Lady Bird Lake, all deemed as accidental or suicidal drownings.
It's insane. It's
It is
completely insane to me.
It is because all these guys that have been found in Lady Bird Lake have either been missing from like a couple days before from either 6th Street, Rainey Street, or Austin city limits in Zilker Park. And they've all been similar looking. They've all been dark hair, dark eyes for the most part. They've all been around college age or have college degrees. I think the oldest person found was Randy Lexvold, and I think he was in his 40s, and he was in Shoal Creek.
That's a kick-ass name, I gotta say.
Oh, dude, totally. Fucking amazing. My last name sucks. I'm not gonna say it because I don't want to dox myself.
Gotta be safe.
Oh
Gotta
no,
be
I'll
safe.
have a. I don't. Who? Heaven forbid I'd have a stalker.
Oh my God, that sexy, sexy man knows my name and where I live.
Oh, please, let's don't let that happen.
But there are way too many coincidences for these to be accidents.
Yeah, I mean, just in the way, like, it's all so similar. Like, for instance, the majority of them were with a group of friends down on 6th Street or Rainey Street. A lot of them were on Rainey Street, and they wander off, and then they go missing for about 4 or 5 days, and then they're found in Lady Bird Lake with all their belongings. So you kind of have to question, like, what the fuck is happening, you know?
And that's scary that they're not, that they're just, I mean, they're there 1 second and then they're gone.
Well, also, if these are all drownings, like, why are there no women? Why is it all men? Like, drowning is not bias.
Drowning doesn't care what your sex, religion, or race is.
No. Yeah, it's very much can happen to anybody. Like, so you have to question it. I mean, anybody in their right mind would question it. I think people, just as a species, like, we're programmed to kind of spot
Patterns.
Yeah, you know. And there's definitely a pattern, I think, for sure.
No, I think so too.
And we're not the only ones that think so, because there is an insane amount of chatter around the interwebs about different theories of what's going on in Austin, and also in Chicago, because the same thing that's happening in Austin is also happening in Chicago right now as well.
Yeah. Keep in mind, as we're going through everything today, that this is not just happening in Austin.
No, yeah. And it's been happening for a long time in a lot of different cities and states around the country. And am I as bold to say around the world? Yes, I am. And we're going to go into that more so as our podcast kind of evolves.
I do want to dive in to some of the theories that we've heard.
Yeah, let's do it.
The first theory and the main theory that really kind of started blowing this up has been the serial killer theory.
Yeah.
A singular serial killer stalking the streets of Austin, Rainey Street, looking for male victims.
Which, to be honest, would not be very hard to do if knowing, like, some of the men. The thing is that women are conditioned, I think, to be more observant. I mean, we just are, because that's our literally our way to protect ourselves, is to kind of, like, huddle together and to rely on each other to watch our surroundings. And men just don't do that because they haven't really encountered as many, terrifying things out in the wild like that as we have.
Yeah, we're always told if you're going out with friends, don't let your girlfriend go to the bathroom alone. You don't leave your drink unattended. If you leave
Yeah.
your drink unattended, get a new drink. We're always taught, and the safest place to go, in any bar is the women's bathroom. I mean, I think every woman listening has had an experience in the bar bathroom.
Yeah.
It's like just come out a different person. It's a
One
beautiful
time
thing.
one time I was at Bout Time. Do you remember that bar?
Oh,
I don't know if it
yes.
I think there's Bout Time too, but this was Bout Time, and I think this was like back in when I just first turned 21. And I was in the bathroom, and this girl comes up to me and she's like, "Hey." And I'm like, hey," And she's like, "Hey, you want a girlfriend?" And I was like, "Nah, I'm good," like flattered, but I'm good. And then she's like, "Oh." She's like, "Well, do you want some cocaine?" And I was like, "Well, no, I'm trying to cut back on that as well." I felt terrible because I had to like turn her down twice for cocaine and for her sweet, sweet ass, you know? Uh,
That's an ugly laugh.
oh God, I know I sound like a fucking mule. Um, anyway, so the male killer or the serial killer we presume to be male because that's what majority of the time is that they are. But there are some people who theorize that this is actually a woman serial killer who's like luring these good-looking men into her web of uh of death.
A black widow.
A black widow of Rainey Street. Also, like these are big guys. Like these are big athletic men. Like you have to like if this was a woman, she would have to be able to like wrestle a 240-pound dude, down and like push him into the lake. Like
She
I don't see how it could be one just single-handed woman doing all this.
Yeah, she would have to be fucking like deadlifting
Mhm.
300 pounds.
I mean,
Um,
I do believe that they are being drugged. I think Austin has a problem with people being drugged downtown, and I think that's a whole other issue on its own. Um, I know countless amount of people who have come forward in the past, like 3 weeks and have said, "Yeah, me and my friend were drugged downtown, men and women." Um,
yeah, it's terrifying. It's
it
really,
is.
really terrifying because there are so many opportunities that people have to drug you up down there, especially because those areas are big tourist areas. There's a lot of people there.
Yeah.
Even if you're going with a group of friends or whatever, I mean, there it's
Well,
so easy.
what I was saying was that like even if this was a woman and even if the guy was drugged, like she would still have to be pretty strong in order to get them, off their feet and like, you know what I mean, and into the
Yeah,
water.
that's true. That's true. I mean, you can't, yeah.
Oh, case closed. I'm leaving.
All right.
All
Well,
right. Well, we solved
anyways,
it.
theory debunked.
Theory
So,
debunked.
theory debunked. That's not the case.
Yeah, because 6th Street and Rainey Street, like you said, are our destination spots. It could easily be bartenders that some people have speculated that it was a bartender slipping something into people's drinks.
And
Um,
that to me, it would definitely be the
yeah,
easiest way to for an unsuspecting person because you're automatically looking out for the people around you, but you don't think about the one who's making your drink. Typically they make it right in front of you.
I kind of tend to be a little less. I think it's. I would lean more towards it being another patron rather than it be a bartender, only because it does get so busy that the bartenders are literally just like keeping their head like straight as far as like serving people. Like they're at work. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
they're not out here trying to, do things if these men were going missing like on weekdays, then maybe it would be more likely to be a bartender because that's when it's slower, you know what I mean? And they have more time to do that. But these are the majority of the time these guys are going missing on like on Fridays, on Thursdays, on Saturday nights. These are busy prime time nights for the bars downtown that these bartenders like they're working their asses off, you know what I mean? I'm not saying it's not possible, but I just don't think it's probable.
Well, I see what you're saying, but
Mhm.
I think that there also have been cases where bartenders have been arrested for drugging patrons.
Oh yeah, there have been for sure. I mean, and there's always going to be, that one case of that, or a couple cases here, a couple cases there. Like predators come in all kinds of shapes and sizes and occupations. I mean, we all know that. Like Hollywood is like just fucking, you know, like thriving with like predators. It's crazy. Um, but as far as like just knowing when these guys have gone missing, like it just doesn't seem like the bartenders would have the ability or the time to like drug them and then come after them after, a couple hours and push them in the lake and then run back to their job, behind the bar. Doesn't really make a lot
Yeah,
of
that's
sense.
true. If that was the case, they would definitely have to be working in tandem with another person.
Yeah, I agree. I will give you that. Like I would say if there's a female involved, then she's working with a group if as like a lure, and if there is a bartender involved, then he's literally or they are literally just using them to like put the drugs in people's drinks. The actual person who's like pushing them in the lake, or because there's been theories that they actually throw them over the bridges, and that's how they, that's how these people are end up in the lake. Um, but it would have to be a group effort. I would also concur that.
Yeah. And these are busy. I mean, Ladybird Lake is pretty busy. It's so you would notice if there were, you would notice somebody being thrown over the side of the
Of the
bridge.
bridge.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll go into it with we'll go into it in later times, but Detective Gannon said himself is that they theorize that these people are being kidnapped, uh taken for a couple of hours, and then dropped into the lake via a bridge during like the hours between like 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. Usually at this time, that's when the cops' shifts are changing. So there's nobody on the streets. A lot of people have come home from the bars. A lot of people are just waking up to go to work. It's that sweet spot where there's not a lot of people around, you know, just to witness this.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Another theory is the pedicab workers in Austin. We have pedicabs, which are little wagons, basically, that are attached to people's bicycles that drive you around.
Yeah, and they just pedal on all they just pedal you from destination to destination.
They just pedal you around.
Have you
And
have you ever hooked up with a pedicabber?
no,
Me
Have you?
either. No, but like, could you imagine those
Could you
calves?
imagine the stamina?
The stamina that they had? They'd be able to fucking pedal their way up this body, honey.
I know.
Dang.
The amount of stamina that you have to have, because
Honestly.
that's gotta be a really hard job. Because like I'm big and I would feel so bad. I think I've taken a pedicab one time and I felt so bad for the dude. He gave no indication that I was like extremely heavy or anything, but I felt so terrible
If it was
for
me,
him.
I'd be like huffing and puffing and being like making people feel so guilty, even if they only weighed like 95 pounds, because I'd want that sweet, sweet tip. You know what I mean?
I know you have to get it. You have to give him the tip. Give
Yeah.
him the tip, the
I'd be
biggest
like,
you can.
seriously, how guilty would you feel? Like, you got to guilt people into giving you more money these days. That's how you do it. You know,
Yeah, that's how the world works now.
it's how the world works. So people are theorizing that these pedicabbers are like driving around Austin, fucking like weekend at burning people, and then throwing them into the lake. Is that what's happening?
I mean, yeah, that's what that's what the theory is. Is that they just basically pop on some sunglasses, put a loud shirt on these dudes, and then they're driving them around, wobbling around in the back and tossing them over the side. I guess
I'm
is what the speculation is.
Yeah, but you would see, and this is another like reason why you would think that if there's a pedicabber, the pedicabs are only around when there's people around, because
Yeah,
that's how they get the money.
that's a great point. That's a
So
great
like,
point.
so they're like, so you these people on the internet want us to believe that these pedicabbers are like driving around with these guys and then just kind of like going off to the side, pushing in these people who are drunk and then just going off on their merry way. No way, dude. People would see
Come on,
that. Yeah.
get real.
Get
Get
real.
real.
Get real.
Just get real.
Yeah. Quit fucking around here. I do believe that the next theory, the Uber, it would make the most sense because I think, Uber didn't come to Austin until 2014 and Uber didn't start vetting their drivers until like 2017 because people were getting sexually assaulted. I think there was a couple of murders that did happen in different cities, not in Austin, but who knows, probably Chicago.
Yeah, people were like getting robbed and stuff by
Yeah.
their Uber driver.
Yeah, by their Uber. Yeah, by their Uber. And I mean, and it goes the other way around too. I mean, there was a lot of people that were like assaulting Uber drivers as well, but
Yeah, it was going both ways for
it was
sure.
going both ways. Uber's is dangerous, man. I mean, that's like, danger. Will
Some of
Robinson.
some of the stories that I have heard since this started really kind of catching attention from everybody about the fake Ubers are absolutely terrifying.
It is. It is.
There was one person who said that they had actually gotten in the back of the what they believed was the Uber. They start going down the street. The driver knew their destination.
Ew.
And then they get a call from their real Uber driver being like, I'm
Ew.
here, where are you at? Like I would die. I would just die. I would just die.
Are you joking? That is crazy to me. How is that? Are they like, they must be hacking the Uber system.
I mean, I don't know how they're doing it because I would not be smart enough to figure out
No, neither.
how to do that. But these days too, with human trafficking and stuff, like you never know.
Yeah.
So
that would be an easy way to kidnap somebody. to
Yeah,
be
I mean, if
honest.
they knew enough about the system, or maybe they used to work for Uber or Lyft or whatever, any of the ride share programs, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how easy it would be.
So you're telling me this person got into a car that said it was their Uber and they knew where their destination was and they started driving and then the patron got a text from their actual Uber driver?
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah, they had already left wherever they were getting picked up from.
Have you ever taken an Uber anywhere?
I've never taken one. I've never
Mm,
taken one. Uber didn't get really big in Austin until, I guess, until like right before I left. So,
yeah. Now I've never taken one either. Like I've always just risked it and drank and drove. No, I really don't. I drank like one. Oh God. Listen, mom, if you're listening, dad, police, APD, look. No, I don't drink that much anyways. I drink like maybe 2 beers, you know. But I'm not saying you should drink and drive. But you should definitely call an Uber if you are or I've only ever taken a taxi. And you know what?
yeah, taxis are the way to go,
I think
I would
so.
think.
I think so. I'm only gonna ever take fucking. I just don't trust these Uber drivers, dude. It's insane.
You really never know because even though they are being vetted now and everything, there still are issues from
Well,
time to time.
obviously
So,
they're hackable. It's
right,
obviously
yeah,
it's not protected cyber protected. Like clearly you can get into fucking the car with Buffalo Bill. Um, Speaking of Buffalo Bill, has your mailman given you any more candies?
no, no. As a matter of fact, okay, so I have this mailman at my office,
Yeah.
who just took over the route, I guess. And is it route or route? Either way.
Either way.
Okay, so he just started servicing our office,
Oh,
and
wow.
he every day he comes in and he reaches in his little shirt pocket and he pulls out a candies, and it's a different candy every time. And at first I was like, oh, I can't have this because it's drugged.
Yeah.
Because you never know
Yeah.
these days.
Yeah.
And then he started
Clearly.
producing the chocolate, giving me like Hershey's and stuff. And I'm like, well, okay, it's worth the risk. But no, I actually, the lady who used to have our route or route, whatever you want to
It's
say,
a
are you
route,
going
I
to
think.
correct me?
I think it's route, yeah.
Okay, well, we'll say route just
Are
for
you
fun.
gonna correct me?
Are you going to
Yeah,
correct
let me
me?
get yeah, and you've been a very bad girl and I'm sick of it.
We'll say
The
route.
yeah, we'll say the only
Um,
thing my fucking mailman ever gives me is disappointment in the form of bills. That's the only thing he ever brings me.
That sucks. That
Yeah.
sucks. You got to
Yeah.
have one that brings you candy. Well, I'm actually
Clearly.
disappointed because the lady who used to have our route before he took it over came in the other day, and my coworker had asked, like, well, where's the other dude? And she was like, I don't know. He keeps calling in. He's called in for like the past 4 days. And I was like, really?
He's
And it
Jasmine, he's building his underground lair. He's fattening you up. He's gonna throw you in there. It's gonna be like fucking Silence of the Lambs all over again. Oh my god, and your last name is Lamb.
Oh shit.
You're doomed.
I really was like, I was working at, okay, so I'm recently single, and am like, I saw this thing where this lady was like, just ask men for money, just ask men for money, because eventually, like, some of them will give it to you. And she
Yeah.
was like, I get $5 every day from this man who I don't even know who he is for coffee. He sends me Venmos me $5 every day.
Ugh.
So I was just working up the balls for when this man handed me candy to be like, and $5? Like, and now he's calling it sick every damn day.
Well, yeah. I don't know. That's a red flag. I think just maybe leave that one alone. Don't ask for any money. Just don't talk to him ever again. Put your sunglasses. Act like you went deaf and mute on like overnight.
Yeah, I'll just act like I don't even know who he is.
Yeah,
but he leaves me the candy even if I'm there or not. Like, he'll leave it on my desk.
Ugh, bless him. Unless he's trying to kidnap you, then obviously fuck him. But bless him.
Well, that's why I stay big. It makes me harder to kidnap.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Do you know that I don't think there's any fat people that get fucking kidnapped. We're harder to drag around once we've been clubbed over the head. You know?
That's true. That's why if you're big, it's worth packing on some weight if you can.
Yeah, stay safe, eat a Snickers.
Stay safe.
Okay? we're here to glorify obesity. Anyways, so the next theory that has been circulating on the internet is a gang of homeless men or women, a gang of homeless people out there spending their hard-earned money buying drugs and drugging people and then disposing of them in the lake.
And this is the theory that makes absolutely no sense to me.
It's kind of infuriating, and like I really don't even want to talk about it because it's so like it's so insulting to the homeless community, because as if we're not like kicking these people like while they're down enough as is, you know what I mean? Like, they get blamed. The homeless population in Austin literally gets blamed for like everything. Somebody goes missing. Oh, it's probably a homeless man. Like, what? Where are they going to keep the person?
What are they? They're literally out in the open. I mean, they don't have really places to hide or to go. That's why they're in the streets downtown. I mean, yeah, it's a problem. Yeah, there's a lot of them down there.
Yeah.
It's an issue. Do I think that they're doing anything or they're even there to fucking bother anybody? No.
Yeah, they're just literally trying to survive. So I don't even want to like address it. Let's like skip that. Let's go to the cops.
You know what? Let's go to the cops.
Because to the cops.
That is a theory.
Yeah.
That why would it not be the cops? This is late at night. You wouldn't suspect a cop or someone with authority walking around that late. You know, you would feel like they're there to make you safe. Well, first of all, I'm going to say there's a lot of scandal with the APD, as I'm sure there is with any other police department. I am not going to go into that.
Yeah, you can look that up on your own.
Yeah, please do look it up on your own if you're curious, but we're not here to completely trash the APD.
And I would never even like, if the cops are involved or whatever, it wouldn't be that the cops are the ones that are like doing the deed. It's that they're just covering it up, or they're not doing their job correctly, or they're understaffed, or they're, just being lazy or incompetent. It's not that I don't think that they're like the serial killer is a fucking cop. Like, I don't believe that.
That's what I feel like. It's laziness, because I feel like right off the bat, these are being labeled as accidental drownings. Oh, these men, they were out on Rainey Street. They got intoxicated and they're walking around, especially if they were visiting from out of town. I think it's easy to be like, oh yeah, they were walking around and they fell in or whatever.
I think like from what I've understand and what I've gathered from my friend who is a police a policeman in a different county, but they're basically trained to just assume that anybody floating in the water is an accidental drowning at first or a suicide, because it's so hard to collect evidence from a body that's been in the water for so long.
Yeah, if I guess when you're trained to be a police officer, you're trained to walk into a scene on land and immediately know if foul play has been involved, or if there are suspects that are nearby. But if the body's found in water, you're more likely to think like this is definitely an accident. Like,
yeah, I think it's just instinctual. Like if you see a child on the ground unconscious, like you automatically assume that there's foul play.
right, right. And in the water, it's more likely like, oh, they kid didn't know how to swim,
right.
whatever.
Yeah, exactly. They don't.
Poor
Right.
parents, they weren't watching him,
Exactly. It's never like, oh, maybe somebody did something to this child. No, it's always, they just assume that it's going to be an accidental drowning,
And there have been several homicidal drownings that were mislabeled as accidental in the past.
Yeah, it is, I mean, to be fair, it is hard to collect evidence from, a body being in the water because of due to a lot of reasons, but mainly because of the bacteria, that's found in natural water sources. They don't preserve anything, like unless a body is like submerged in cool water, like it does not, the bacteria goes to work pretty much immediately and starts to, decomp this body. God, did I just have a stroke? I think I was just having a stroke.
Oh
it's a
God.
Remix. Decomp.
Decompose.
Decomp. Okay.
Yeah. So for anybody who doesn't know, which maybe a lot of you 3 people listening don't, is when you die in water, you decompose extremely fast. There's a lot of factors that go into exactly how long it takes, but basically it's called slippage. Your skin kind of slips. You get like washerwoman hands, I think is what it's called. And bacteria enters your body and releases a bunch of enzymes that cause rapid decomposition of your body. So with that being the case, depending on the weather, the temperature of the water, where you're found, the current, it all has to do with how fast and what state your body is going to be in whenever you are found. But it can reduce and has reduced bodies to literally bones within 9 days is how things can go.
Yeah.
So that kind of helps explain, because of when we first decided to start this podcast, I was wondering, like, why the hell are there so many unidentifieds? It literally, I mean, it makes it difficult to identify who you are.
Yeah, like the fingerprints are gone, So
Yeah.
it's like, it's hard to take prints. Sometimes, because we were looking at pictures, and sometimes it's hard to even tell, if they were male or female.
Yeah, I mean, we were looking at, I don't know if anybody's seen the Twilight Zone episode where like that lady thinks that she's ugly and she's under like bandages and stuff the whole time, and the doctors are like, "Oh, don't worry, we're going to save you." And she takes off her bandages at the end and she looks regular, but everybody around her it has like a pig face. That's like how it makes you look. Like you just look like you have no face. It's crazy.
I remember watching that as a child.
Yeah, it was terrifying.
I know. I was like, and then the big reveal, and you're like, oh, she looks exactly the same as she did. Like, she was like just a regular person.
Yeah, she's like, oh, I'm still ugly.
Yeah, spoiler
Me in the
alert. She
mirror
was
every
just,
day.
yeah. Oh, God.
um, I I do want to take a moment to circle kind of back around to the cops,
Uh-huh.
and these men being labeled as accidental drownings, because there's a lot of similarities in these cases. And I'm not saying that they're not working their hardest, but
They're
uh,
darndest.
the first, okay, so if you look on the list that somebody made, I'm not sure who, or I give them credit for it, but somebody made a list of
All the bodies that
when,
were found.
yeah, all the bodies that have been found in Lady Bird Lake.
And what
Um,
time.
yeah, the date that they were found. And the first person on there is Raid Hamad. I am not sure if that's the correct pronunciation of his name, so I'm going to just call him Mr. H. And I just want to briefly kind of explain why I am not buying the accidental drowning theory,
From the cops
from the
specifically.
cops.
Yeah.
Mr. H, he was a school teacher and a peace activist. He was doing some work with the Palestinian Children's Welfare Fund.
Oh.
So he was a very peaceful, sweet guy. All of his students seemed to love him. Everything that I've seen has been that he was super cool. Everybody's sharing their good memories of him. He was pulled out of Lady Bird Lake on February 16th of 2008. So he's the first body that we know of that was found in there.
Right.
Just a brief kind of summary. He was under investigation for bank fraud, wire fraud, and money laundering that had to do with the Palestinian Children's Welfare Fund.
So he was being looked into that because of his connections with that organization.
Yeah, they had just come and raided his house. It was believed, I guess, that him and maybe a few other people were stealing money from the fund. So he was being investigated. He said that once this investigation kind of broke loose.
Did he ever get charged? Did he ever get charged for that? Or they just raided his house?
No, they just raided his house to get evidence, but there were never any charges brought up against him whenever he was found.
Wow.
I guess they just were looking into it.
But they raided his house.
They raided his house. So they raided his house. He said that after this kind of information broke out to everybody, he was being harassed by the government, by people who he worked with. And his wife had mentioned that because this was causing him so much stress, that he was having suicidal thoughts. I do want to mention that because some of his colleagues said the same thing, that he was under a lot of stress. He was, I guess, vocalizing like that he didn't want to be here anymore, whatever. However, the way that he was found in Lady Bird Lake was that his feet and hands were bound. His eyes were covered in duct tape.
Ugh.
And witnesses also said that his head was wrapped in duct tape.
Was his hands and feet, were they wrapped in, was it duct tape as well?
I believe it was duct tape. Yeah, I think he was all duct taped up.
Okay, how are you going to do that to yourself? Like a rope? Like how a rope is like one thing, but how are you going to duct tape your own hands and feet?
I mean, seriously. And you need to have your mouth, I would think, to wrap your hands.
I mean, duct tape is sticky, you know what I mean? It's like and like nobody duct tapes like when you duct tape anything, you don't duct tape it loosely. You know what I mean?
I couldn't imagine it. That would not be my that would not be the method that I choose, to duct tape myself and then
No.
to duct tape myself and then, do, because could you imagine how the frustration? I would be so fucking mad. I would be so mad.
Well, who chooses drowning as a way to go anyways? I mean, if you're gonna unalive yourself, like it's you don't want to put yourself through more fucking pain or trauma, you know what I mean?
Exactly. Like the body fights you so hard to stay alive if
Yes.
if
Yeah.
you're drowning.
Yeah.
And your instincts kick in. You know what I mean? Like it's an awful, awful way to go. So why would you pick it?
He didn't. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Anybody who believes that is just like choosing to not see the reality behind it. You know,
Well,
they're just not choosing to see the truth.
well, and that's what's disturbing is that the Austin Police Department did issue a statement the day after he was found that the bindings were consistent with Mr. H having done this to himself.
Okay, well, obviously none of those police officers are part of the BDSM community because you cannot tie yourself up with fucking duct tape. Like there's no way that's possible. Like rope has like a little bit of give and I guess you can kind of wiggle around, but duct tape? No way. Did these police officers did they do like a pre-course in clown school?
I think they have to attend several years there.
Clearly. Clearly.
Several
Oh my
years.
god. That's
Um,
infuriating.
it's absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I did just want to kind of go over that because I don't particularly think that Mr. H fits in with the rest of the people pulled from Lady Bird Lake. However, his story does need to be told, and it kind of shows
Then
that,
that cops don't know really how to investigate anything or the corruption is obvious in this kind of like these types of cases.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
cuz you're telling me that this is what you're telling me. You're telling me that a Muslim American teacher in 2008 was being investigated by the FBI, right? Got his house raided, got his shit stolen,
Mhm.
was being threatened, and then he was found with his hands and feet and his eyes and his head covered in duct tape in Lady Bird Lake, and the cops want us to believe that it was a suicide?
That's
No.
right.
No. No,
That's right.
I'm not going to believe that. I'm just no.
They took a
No.
look. They took a look at it, and 24 hours later, said, "Yeah, he did this to himself. It's
Yeah.
him. That it was all on him."
So if anything, this just shows how corrupted the APD is during that time in 2008. Now that was during Art Aceveda's term as police chief. So
Yes,
I don't know if it's different now, but clearly there's some malpractice and probably, some corruption in there for sure.
well, okay, so when a person of the Muslim faith passes away,
Hmm.
I guess the protocol to follow is for the Islamic Center of Greater Austin to be notified,
Yeah.
because they have certain rituals that they follow that are religious rituals. So um, Dr. Dramali, I hope I'm saying his name right, of the Islamic Center of Greater Austin, said that the protocol was not followed for Mr. H, which is typically they call the center to notify them. The autopsy for Mr. H was performed without the permission of the family and before Dr. Dramali had access to the body, which is not protocol. And when they did receive the body, Dr. Dramali said that the body was in a barbaric condition, that he was seeping blood from an incision. There was flesh torn off like he had been attacked by an animal. Like, so who the hell knows?
This just goes to show that we are living in a biased society.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
It's so infuriating. I'm not sure what the excuse was that APD came up with. I'm not even sure if they had an excuse. I know that Dr. Dramali had a few meetings over the state of Mr. H's body and what had happened as far as the protocol not being followed. And he did say that those meetings ended up, he thinks, making a difference possibly in the future. But the fact that it even happened is disgusting.
It is.
You know, I mean,
yeah, it is. And like his poor fam, like his wife, you know, like what does she have to live with?
oh my God,
Yeah.
that's heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking. I hope that people listen to this podcast just so that they can understand like the depth of corruption in our local government. I mean,
Yeah.
if you don't think that there's any proof of that, like this case, the case of Mr. Hamad, like that should be enough proof for you. I mean,
yeah, if you take away, if this is the only episode that you listen to,
yeah,
if you take nothing else away from it, when you go out with your friends, watch your friends. When you are thinking that, you know, oh, well, racism isn't real, you know, religious persecution or whatever isn't real, know that, know that
yeah, the fuck it is.
know that it's real. Like this is not stuff from the movies. I mean, this is real life and it actually does happen. And it affects people and it affects their family and their friends.
It's fucked up, man. Poor. I hope that somebody will reopen the case. And
well, I do. While we're on the subject, I do want to say that it would be really, really fucking cool because it has been mentioned elsewhere that they're like some of these families are not able to afford funerals. And their loved ones are having to be cremated, which means that you can't go back and do
and reopen the investigation.
Yeah, so it would be really, really fucking kick-ass if a funeral home maybe wanted to give families free funerals if the bodies are being pulled out of the lakes in Austin, so
or
that
just free embalming.
Just something for free, because if this is something that needs to be reinvestigated, it would be nice, I'm sure, for the families of these people to be able to have that option.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
So the final theory that's been floating around is something called the Smiley Face Murders. Yes. And this is kind of like what I would expect this to be, what's happening in Austin right now and in Chicago. This makes the most sense to me, and I think to you too. We both have been doing a lot of research about it. The Smiley Face Murders theory was coined up by a retired NYPD police homicide detective, Kevin Gannon, his partner, Anthony Duarte, and a criminal justice professor and gang expert, Dr. Lee Gilbertson. In 1997, the body of a 20-year-old Patrick McNeil was found floating in the East River 50 days after he was reported missing from Manhattan.
Damn, 50 days.
Yeah, 50 days, and I believe it was like 12 miles upstream from where he was last seen.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Despite his body being found floating face up and with multiple cuts, abrasions, and burns, the NYPD ruled his death as an accidental drowning.
Oh my God.
Are these the same detectives that works in APD? Are they we just like trading them out?
He
Seems
was
like it.
burnt. He was burned. Okay, so he was burned and he had what else?
Cuts. He had some abrasions. He had ligature marks on his wrists.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Detective Gannon and Duarte had discovered a graffitied smiley face near the Owl's Head water pollution protection plant where McNeil's body was discovered in the East River. 1 year later, the body of 22-year-old Larry Andrews was found in the exact same location as Patrick McNeil over a month after Andrews was reported missing.
Damn.
Yeah, that's kind of a big coincidence, if you ask
Yeah,
me.
that's a major coincidence.
Uh-huh. It would take Gannon and his partner, Duarte, 10 years to enlist the help of Dr. Lee Gilbertson, who in 2005 was looking for a final project for his crime analysis and mapping and profiling graduate level class when he came across the names of young men who had gone missing and later were all found deceased in bodies of water, and whose deaths were all labeled as accidental drownings or suicide. He gave the topic to his students to research and profile, and contacted a television producer he knew to record the students' final presentations. The video was posted, and in 2006, Kevin Gannon and Duarte approached Dr. Gilbertson after learning about that same video. So he had posted this video of his students' like final exams, and it had garnered so much attention that Kevin Gannon and Anthony Duarte like ended up contacting him for help.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
The power of the internet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. With Dr. Gilbertson now a part of their team, the trio were able to compare notes and experience, and eventually the theory of the Smiley Face Murders was born. The moniker came from the graffiti smiley faces that were found not only by the bodies of McNeil and Andrews, but near the bodies of other young men found in rivers and lakes across the Midwest. So, and the team also theorized that the disappearances of these young men around the states are not the work of one single person, but rather an underground group of people likely using the dark web to communicate to others in different states, and graffitied symbols and numerology as the group's calling cards.
That's really scary because that makes complete sense to me because they got so much shit on the dark web. Or I mean, I've never been on there, but but from what I hear,
yeah, there's a lot of crazy shit on the dark web. I've heard.
Yeah.
I don't know for personal experience or anything.
We've never been on the dark web.
We haven't. I mean, I'm just
no,
not
literally,
smart enough to do. No, we haven't.
Yeah, I don't even know. There were like, you have to get a torrent or something to get on there. I don't understand that.
What's a torrent? Is that a type of car?
I don't know. I guess so.
I'm just kidding. That's just a joke.
You need a special car to access the dark web.
Yeah. Detective Kevin Gannon now believes the Smiley Face Murders have found their way to Austin, and that the bodies found in Lady Bird Lake since 2010 are all connected. So,
well, I'm glad that he's coming down there, isn't he? Or has he been?
Well, there's been chatter of him coming to Austin, and talking to some people here, like the families of some of the victims. But I
That's cool.
I can't confirm nor deny that.
Me either.
We're not privy to that information. We're just two girls trying to make it.
Two girls doing our best.
Yep, doing our best.
Well, that's cool. I mean, if he came and everything. If not, if he's coming, I mean, that's cool too.
Yeah. So that concludes. I think that concludes part 1 of episode 1.
Thanks for sticking around until the end.
Yeah. You can find us on Instagram if you want to be supportive and precious.
Our Instagram is Nosey Nancies.
Yeah. Or you can join our Facebook group.
And the Facebook group is Nosey Nancies Podcast.
And
you have to send a request to get in.
Yeah, we're vetting people. We're not just letting anybody in. You know.
Exclusive. Yeah,
this is an exclusive group of 10 people. So hold your water. Hold your water.
Hold your water.
Also, if you or anybody else you know has had any crazy stories or crazy run-ins in downtown Austin or in the Austin area, we'd love to hear about it. We'd like to do a listener story every month. So if we compile enough, stories, we can do that. You can email us at noseynancies@gmail.com.
We want to read any type of thing you have relating to downtown Austin. Maybe you've been drugged. Maybe you've had a weird experience with someone or with multiple people down there.
Yeah,
maybe you've seen some stuff. Yeah, we're nosy. So just send us all your shit.
We want the hot goss,
Give us the hot goss.
Give us a tea, baby. Oh, God. I'm going to edit that out. No, I'm just kidding. Thanks, y'all, for listening. We'll catch you next week for part 2.
Part 2, we're covering Patrick McNeil, Larry Anderson, and Cole Christensen.
Yeah. Ooh, that's going to be a good one.
Stay tuned.
Ciao.
C'est la vie, ma